What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I want to do something a little bit different. Not talking about football as of right now, what's going on, the Champions League, none of that. I want to start a new segment, and I want to call it Modern Day Ballers. And we've obviously, if you watch YouTube or hear about pundits, they'll talk about some of these great players from back in the day, like Eusebio, and I saw one recently on Wesley Schneider, and I was amazed. And you hear about all these guys who have retired, and even some of the greats that are still around, but maybe coming towards their end, like obviously like Messi and Ronaldo, obviously are great examples. Modric, you hear about that, but I want to talk about the modern day. I want to talk a little bit about the modern day footballers, and the first one I want to talk about is the boy who plays like a La Masia, but he's not a La Masia, Pedri Gonzalez. Pedri Gonzalez. This guy is my favorite footballer. This guy is, to me, my favorite footballer to watch. I love the way he dictates games. I love the way he plays football, and I just want to talk a little bit about the guy who was born in Spain, in Tenerife, in an island, who grew up idolizing Iniesta and joined Las Palmas at the age of 15, and that's where the magic happened. This guy joined at the age of 15, and he changed everything forever. This guy, if you watch him, he's not this tall guy. He's like 5'9", just an amazing footballer to watch. In 2019 and 2020, he debuted in the lower league of La Liga for Las Palmas, and it was like, you could just see the vision, you could see the passing, you could see the maturity. He played 36 games as a teenager, and obviously Barcelona were all over that, because who wouldn't want to be looking at a player of that talent? In 2020, signs for Barcelona at 17 years old. Imagine that, 17 years old. Barcelona sign you. And at the time when we signed him, I was not sure. So I went and watched highlights, and I'm like, oh man, it's a lower league. But I could see something about him. I could see something so significant about him. And Ronald Koeman in 2020 obviously saw something in him that I'm glad that he did. There was not a lot of things that I was happy with Ronald Koeman. This was one of them. And straight away when he played, in his first season, he played 52 games across all competitions and balled out. And he showed chemistry. And what I loved was he showed so much chemistry with Messi. I just wish that they had more time together, and when we were in our prime winning all those trophies, to have Pedri and Messi running it, that even fans like myself was calling him, man, this is the new Iniesta, the new Xavi, the new guy who plays football. And then he gets a call up in 2020 for Spain at 18 years old, played every single game, covered the most distance, and won young player of the tournament, and proved to everyone that it wasn't just because Barcelona was in a rut, but this guy was a baller. This guy was a game changer. In his first year of playing for Barca, he was young talent and learning from the players around him, but showed them, hey, like, I don't muck around here. I'm here to show you guys why I'm going to be the greatest let's hold on. But I believe he could be one of the best midfielders of all time. Then his second year, 2021, 2022, became pretty much, or in some ways, Barcelona's most important midfielder. And then in September, he got injured, came back in October, and then unfortunately, we lost him for 3 to 4 months. And there was a rut there where he was injured. It wasn't going well. Then 2022, 2023, a little bit of injury, but added more goals to his game, improved decision making in the final third. Then 2024, 2025 happens. And this is where we saw the best version of Pedri. This is the best version of Pedri, and I know it's going to keep growing from there. To me, people will say, like, I would say Pedri right now is the best midfielder in the world. Second would be Bellingham. Now, people will say, oh, but the goals, the assists, if that's all you care about football, then Salah's the best probably the best EPL player of all time at this point. Like, come on, where do we draw the line of what is the best footballer? Like, footballer, when you watch it, it's footballer. Like, when I was playing soccer when I was younger, the striker would score the most goals, but doesn't mean the striker was the best player on the pitch. I remember you watch football throughout history, and you would see like a player that you would just admire and be amazed by. Doesn't mean they were the highest goal scorers. And I think that because of Messi and Ronaldo, we created this thing in football nowadays where it's all about who scores the most goals, who gets the most assists. To me, it's like Xavi and Iniesta weren't those players. Xavi and Iniesta were not goals and assists only. They were footballers more than anything, and they were brilliant at it. Brilliant. And I'm not saying the other guys aren't footballers, but when you compare them to midfielders, like, it would be like Xavi, Iniesta, Zidane, and that's it. Like, they would be my top three for sure. But then you saw 2024, 2025 when Hansi Flick played him in a kind of a sixth role, a deep-lying playmaker, controller. And I was like, no, like, that's not him. Like, you have to play him in the central midfield or even attacking mid. When I was playing Football Manager, he would always be in the attacking mid because I was like, that's what he plays. And I remember even at Las Palmas, there was times where you would see him a little bit on the left. So I wasn't sure if he fully played there. I didn't watch all these games there. I just watched highlights. But even at Barça, you saw him drifting in different positions, but I think last year he became a complete midfielder. Vision, controlling, press resistance, leadership. The leadership in him, the hard working. The most underrated thing about him is his defense. His defense is brilliant. He tracks back. He dictates the game. And the one thing that I would say he's got above Bellingham, yes, Bellingham scores more goals than him. Fair enough. Final third, Bellingham probably. And now he's picking it up, which I really like. But when Bellingham and again, this is not a comparison. Again, I love Bellingham. He's probably like one of my favorite footballers right now. I think he's a brilliant footballer. But you rarely see Pedri have a bad game. Like, you rarely see it. He's so consistent and consistently high as well. Not just consistently like average, consistently high. There's my dog running as well. He loves it. But last year, we saw a different version of him. And what I love about Pedri is he's played attacking mid, he's played central midfielder, and he's played defensive midfielder, and he has crushed it. And I think right now we're seeing the best part of Pedri Gonzalez. And I love when I hear footballers talking about Pedri, just hearing different people rate him out of the midfielders and seeing him up there has been brilliant. And one of the disadvantages is I think he needs to be in the Ballon d'Or discussions. Maybe not number 1 or number 2, but I think he's definitely, to me, top 5. And if Ballon d'Or wasn't about titles, if it wasn't about goals and assists, from an eye point of view, I would say he's, dare I say, top 3, top 5 players in the world right now. In midfielders, I still think he's the best, but then you've got Lamine Yamal. You've got so many great. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to back him. I'm saying he's top 3. We'll talk about it, who I reckon the top 3 best footballers right now is. But I would say Pedri is definitely one of them. Don't care what anyone says. That's my opinion. But obviously, throughout his career, we've obviously, seen the injuries. And at times, you were like, oh, is he even going to come back to the full form? From what we saw in the Euros, from what we saw at 18 years old, playing those many games at 17 for Ronald Koeman, he was heavily relied on. But now you see him in Spain and in Barcelona. He is one of the first names on the team sheet. For Barca and Spain, it would be like Lamine Yamal. He would probably be next. He is the player that people see as the heir of Xavi and Iniesta. And I know people love to compare him to Iniesta. I would say he is more of a Xavi kind of player, the way he plays personally. And he's 22 years old. If he can bag some Champions Leagues and La Ligas more, and some of these other cups like Super Cup and some of these, his ceiling is limitless. The way he plays, he's already up there. At those trophies, man, people will remember him forever. Still 22, he's scoring more goals now. And even if you watch his catalogue of assists last year, the ones that were not converted in, it wasn't just these bum assists that, how sometimes you watch football games and it'll be like a stupid pass and the player will just do everything, but he'll still get the assist. Like, a player will run the whole pitch and then the other guy will still get an assist because he passed it to him. But if you watch Pedri's like if you go on YouTube or Twitter or whatever it is nowadays, and you search up like Pedri's goals that were not assists that didn't convert, you would be like, these are small tap-ins. These are small just tap-ins that they have to do. He's done everything for you to finish it, and you still can't. But he covers the ground. Like, I love when I see him play, and he's just everywhere. And it was when Barça beat Madrid in this Copa del Rey, 3-2, a last-minute goal by Koundé. And Pedri has this moment where he tracks back. He's he's like in his own half, like towards goal, like his own goal. And Kubasi takes the ball. Kubasi launches it to Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal passes it outside the box, I'm sure, and boots it straight in. And I'm like, this guy runs the whole pitch. He will not stop. He's hardworking. He's a baller. And like what Xavi said when he was manager, when Pedri plays, everything flows. Everything flows, and you see that now when he's not playing. And thank goodness that now we've got some other players that can rotate with him, so he's not on his own. I think Bernal is actually a perfect replacement for him. I know people are like, Pedri and Bernal I reckon they'll be so great together, but I think him replacing him is great. I think it's good for him. Luis Enrique in the Euros, he said this: what Pedri did at 18 in a European Championship, I've never seen anyone else do it. Like, these guys are shocked. Messi speaks about him so highly. Players love watching Pedri Gonzalez. Like, I wouldn't be surprised in when he retires, we hear about Pedri as every player's favorite player. Because when you watch him play, you're amazed. When you watch him play, he's a game changer. And I think, for me, I'll always push the Pedri agenda, because I think he can be so underrated at times. And I know you could say, oh, but he's so rated. Look at like the conversations we're having about him. But even then, like, people throw so much shade at him or say that, oh, he doesn't get the goals and assists. If that's what it's all about, then what's the point of even watching football? What's the point of watching football? Like, that's not the whole point. Yes, goals and assists are super important. But when you've got a player like Pedri and he controls the whole thing for the players to assist and score, that is the game changer for me. But that's my first part of modern day ballers. I'm going to make more of these. You might see Bellingham in one of these, so don't think I'm a hater. I love Bellingham. I just think Pedri is the best footballer, best midfielding player right now. Like, attacking mid, center defensive mid, I don't care what it is. Right now, he's the best midfielder. That's my honest opinion. And this is why I love the La Masia player, who was never one of them. Pedri is the GOAT. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.